Hello, everyone. It's the hardcore legend Mick Foley wishing a nice day to everyone there, right there at True Heel Heat. Yeah.
What's up, True Heel Heat?
True Heel Heat.
What's up? True Heel Heat.
Rob Van Dam. Listen to True Heel Heat. Pow.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for Rated Raw Review number 33, Broken Beat, reviewing last night's September 2nd, 2024 edition of WWE Raw as only we can. And to do that, once again, what is this? The third week in a row, Romeo is running away from the grind. But don't worry, we got two big special guests with us once again for what is this? The third straight week. We got Chase Oliver joining us today. How are you doing, Chase?
It's okay, SP3. I know Romeo Reigns can't show up every week. He has a tough taxing schedule that he has to do, and here's a spoiler, people. I don't think he will be here next week. There's a team called the Jets playing Monday Night Football against those 49ers. So I'll see you all next week. But I'm doing good, SP3. How about yourself?
I'm going to ask you in advance. I'll do a couple of days ahead of time, but thank you once again for joining us today. And because Chase was taking too long to answer me, I sent out an open call, and one of the very best answered it from Fightful Overbooked, one half of the coexisting tag team with the lovely and always rant-orific Maggie, the one and only Minnesota's own Rob Wilkins is here with us. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here and talk about I thought was a pretty good Raw last night.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, a fun episode.
They've been on a nice little streak. They had like one episode where I was just like, okay, this was boring, but that was mostly due to CM Punk and his inability to cut promos without pandering. But we'll get into that.
That was probably the Raw I was at.
Was it?
No, I'm not kidding.
Was
Yeah,
it?
he
The
it didn't
Minnesota
go well.
one.
Yeah, that was the one I was at, where just like everybody was like, "What is going on?" Like they were booing him, kind of. The pandering didn't
Oh
work.
wow. Gotta
Yeah.
love it. Gotta love it. I love when fans all around the world is like, we want you angry, Punk. Why are you not angry? Please be angry because you're a lot more entertaining that way. We want everybody to be happy, but you don't need to be. When you go through the curtain, you're supposed to be a character, not yourself. If yourself is happy, that's great. That's what we want. But stop doing that on camera.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, what I'll say is he messed up. Like, what he should have done is talk about his history in Minnesota, and he would have been fine. Like, because he did a lot of his training here with Ace Steel, and he wrestled at Steel Domain in St. Paul, where they were. He didn't mention that at all. So that was like, that's where he could have got the face pop. But I think there was a reason he didn't do that. But
You have to mention your hockey team. That was more important.
Yeah, outdated hockey reference. I did get the check on that on this week's show, but we'll get into that. We'll get into everything that went down on last night's Monday Night Raw. But before we do that, of course, we gotta send our love to everyone watching. We appreciate y'all if you're watching us live. We appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Drop the thumbs up on this video. You can share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. If you're watching us on Facebook, drop a like, a heart, a laughing emoji, an angry emoji. However, last night's Monday Night Raw made you feel. You can let us know with those emotes. Watching us on Twitter, drop a heart, retweet the video. That helps out the algorithm over there. But if you're watching on any of those platforms, make sure to sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you guys and hear your thoughts on Monday Night Raw as only you can. And of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, the best way to do that is with a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here. And we want to make Romeo jealous that he missed out this week. So send a lot of super chats. Show some love in that way and troll Romeo as only he can troll. But we do have a bit of breaking news outside of the WWE verse because my main man here, Rob Wilkins, sent me a private chat. And it made, I didn't even want to click on it. I was just on my phone because I was retweeting this video. So I was like, okay, he sent it from Sean Ross Sapp. Must be something important that Sean Ross Sapp just tweeted out. And TNA's own, a friend of the channel, someone we've had on the channel, and I thought all the way back in like 2019, the first time I went to the UK, I went to a Rev Pro show and I saw her beating well-known racist Tessa Blanchard, and I was rooting for her, of course. But Giselle Shaw has been announced by Fightful Select and Sean Ross Sapp. She has been granted her release from TNA Wrestling. Very, very interesting news here, which I don't know if it's like a big secret. They kind of have made it known on social media, so I don't think I'm saying a big secret here, but she is the significant other of Scott D'Amore. So, like, the fact that, you know, Scott D'Amore got kind of unceremoniously taken out of TNA earlier this year, and now Giselle is being granted her release. It also begs the question of, are we going to see a domino effect? Because this is not the only person that we've heard have a requesting of their release. You know, there was the whole thing with Josh Alexander being extended his contract after he kind of wanted to explore different options for him. Is it going to be a domino effect of you're granting Giselle Shaw her release? What are we going to re-advise our decision on Josh Alexander? Very, very interesting news. Rob, what was your reaction seeing that tweet from Sean Ross Sapp? Shout outs to him, the best reporter in the game, announcing that that Giselle Shaw has been granted her release from TNA Wrestling.
You know, I'm glad TNA did it because she requested it. You know, so when the wrestler requests it, I'm totally game because I'm always gonna be on the side of the wrestler themselves. I always believe that it's the wrestler first for me before the company's initials. So the fact that she wanted this release and they finally granted it, cool. I hope she gets to do what she wants to do, whether it's wrestle at Maple Leaf, which Scott D'Amore just starting in Canada, or whatever it leads to. I hope she's happy, and that's what matters the most. And you make a good point. Does this lead to a domino effect? Are there other talent that will be getting their release request fulfilled? That I don't know. It's going to be pretty interesting to see. Based on how they've been doing with their crowds at like shows selling out, they're making money. So I don't know why they would. In a way, I could see them maybe releasing people because that way they make more money. They're saving money, but it also is kind of like that. You kind of, it's kind of like one of those things where it kind of goes hand in hand. This is very, very interesting to see what they do, but we'll see.
Very interesting news, and especially with Giselle Shaw, who it felt like a couple of months ago when she took her time off and made her return with the whole storyline with Gail Kim, that she was going to get this kind of renewed push. She turned babyface after the return. She was picking up wins. I was kind of interested in the fact that she had that loss. I think it was at Slammiversary on the pre-show where Tasha Steelz won that four-way matchup, where I thought they were just building up wins for Giselle Shaw to get back into the title scene. And I thought she was going to be like the next TNA Knockouts World Champion, especially early in the year when she won that Ultimate X at I think that was at Hard to Kill. But Chase, what's your reaction to Giselle Shaw getting granted a release from TNA Wrestling?
Yeah, I'm not surprised, to be honest. Like, this seemed more of like a personal thing more than like the wrestler thing, and I'm glad TNA granted it. I mean, obviously, when your significant other, who was like one of pretty much the head honcho of TNA, gets released, she was very loyal to Scott D'Amore, so that's a good thing. And I don't know if other talent will get released. Unfortunately, I think this one was just so personal between these two that they were just like, you know what? Instead of making it worse, let's just go on ahead. We don't really have any future plans because she screamed like one of those perfect WWE TNA type people. I could have totally seen her going after like the North American Championship, especially with a person like Kalani Jordan. I'm sure like companies like WWE and AEW will have interest in her. Like I don't know why you wouldn't have interest in her. She has the look down. In ring wise, it's always hit or miss. From matches that I've seen, I don't watch TNA weekly. I mostly just watch the pay-per-views that they put on. But she's always like either had a pay-per-view match where I'm like, oh yeah, she's good. And then there's other matches where I'm like, oh man, that was rough. But I'm glad that they let her go. But I don't know if like a Josh Alexander will get released. He's a very vital person to them. And like I would love for him to be released. I would like to see Josh Alexander elsewhere, to be honest. I like the guy a lot, but yeah, I don't think that's happening. But I do hope though it doesn't lead to many more asking for the release, because TNA has found the show just happened, but they found some sort of resurgence with their roster. They found guys that are actually putting in good work for them. They found that relationship with WWE and NXT that has helped them up to some degree, especially with talent, being able to wrestle a little bit more. So I hope it doesn't lead to a lot of people leaving, because like I think they finally have their roster in place, and it's a pretty darn good roster where they're at least selling out the venues that they're going to. It's not like back in the day where it'd still be half empty. Like they're now able to sell out that Palms Casino whenever they go there in Vegas, and it's like one of their destinations that they like to go. So I hope it doesn't lead to more talent leaving, but I could totally understand why if talent wants to leave, especially if they were so behind Scott D'Amore and then all of a sudden this new entity comes in and it's just not the same vibes.
Yeah, new creative under TNA, and then Anthem kind of still running the show over there. So it'd be interesting to see kind of the fallout. And is this a domino effect, or is this kind of an isolated situation like Chase is saying here? But we'll talk about that more for sure in the upcoming days, especially on the flagship podcast over on Saturday. So be sure to stay locked on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel as we discuss more of this, as we get more information for sure. We got a couple of other people in the chat joining us. You got Bell, who says, hey to you, Bell. Good to see you. We also got Power Driver Finisher, says, sup, heaters. And we got Valo B, who says, how long until she gets booked for the October Maple Leaf Pro Show? That, I mean, they got a stock lineup already. Konosuke Takeshita is announced for that show. I think Athena is going to be on that show. So, yeah, I think Giselle Shaw. Well, if she's not announced for the show, she's definitely going to make an appearance. I could see that. But
yeah,
interesting news for sure. But we got to talk about Monday Night Raw from last night. This one took place from Denver, Colorado, the same location as the night prior's NXT No Mercy. I'll start with Rob. What did you think about the crowd last night in Denver?
very solid crowd. They were loud. Dominic Mysterio, that was one of the louder reactions I've seen for him, just getting booed. So I thought it was a good crowd. You know, I can't stand Colorado because of the Avalanche, which I know that's Jeremy's team, but that's the way it is. But they did good. They were a good wrestling crowd, so I'll give them that.
I hate Denver for the Nuggets, but
Yeah,
I understand.
Nuggets.
Screw the Nuggets. Chase, what did you think about the crowd last night in Denver?
Yeah, good crowd. They were loud when they needed to be. They were booing when they needed to be. There was times in the show where they were kind of just like, it felt like they were just talking amongst each other. They weren't really into the action. But when the action was good, they gave the proper response. So I thought it was a good crowd. Much better than, I don't know what Joe Tessitore was talking about. Broncos home games never have this type of reaction. I don't know what he was talking about. I've seen them. They don't get up like that.
He was talking about the Peyton Manning days. Shannon Sharp days. But let's talk about how they kicked off the show. You had Wade Barrett in the ring welcoming us, the Denver crowd, to Monday Night Raw, and he officially introduced Joe Tessitore, who is the new play-by-play commentator on Monday Night Raw. He was thrilled to be a member of the WWE broadcast team, and he put over the Denver fans by comparing them to the European fans they had over the last week, and that was a transition that met us into a recap of WWE Bash in Berlin. Overall thoughts, guys, on Joe Tessitore week one. I think I kind of agree with what Sean Rossap said on Twitter, that he has that voice that's really good for this, but it just seemed like he was kind of like underwhelming in like certain scenarios where he should have got more excited. I think that he's still learning kind of that part to react to the different moments on the show. What did you think, Rob, of Joe Tessitore week one?
I thought, like, for a first time Raw, like first time doing the show, I thought he was perfect. I said in a tweet earlier, I give him 5 stars, but 6 if he was in the Tokyo Dome. So I thought he did great. I mean, I really do. For a first time guy, like, doing the show, I compared it to guys like Jimmy Smith, even Vic Joseph. Like, I thought he did really good, and I'm not trying to just blow smoke. I'm just going based on a first time. I thought he did well. He knew the moves, he called them, and he didn't seem to hesitate from what I caught. So I give him. I think he'll just get better. I really do. I think if you're expecting like your Tony Schiavone's, your Jim Ross, like out of the gate, I think you're absolutely crazy. So I think there's nowhere but up, and I thought he did good for the first time. That's really all I could say. I thought he had a perfect first show. He will get better, in my opinion, because he's damn good at what he does. Like, all the sports. Like, the thing is when you know a good broadcaster is when you know their name, like sports broadcaster. Joe Tessitore is one of those guys, whether he was covering baseball, football, like, I knew that name. And that's a good thing. So I think eventually that will work out for him in the long run.
He's got a great voice for commentating, even like in professional wrestling or in general, just broadcasting. I know, Chase, you have more familiarity with Joe Tessitore. What did you think about night one on Raw?
There's times where I felt like I was playing Fight Night again as a little kid, because Tessitore was the main announcer for the Fight Night games, and I was just like, oh my God. And I feel Wade cut him off a couple times when he was trying to call the match, and I think it was more so like they didn't know Joe's like extent knowledge of what was going on in the ring, so they were like, okay, Wade, hold his hand a little bit so that way he can help him. And I felt when Tessitore was about to get to a point, Wade would come and be like, and that right there, that move is just one of those things that Akira Tozawa does great. And then Tessitore kind of had to like stop his talking point. But I felt he did really good for his first show. Where he excels is when he's just like talking about the stuff in the background. Like, oh my God, I felt like I was ready for an HBO boxing night when he was like, and there is the world heavyweight champion Gunther after a great successful title defense. I was just like, oh my God, like what is this? Like a big time fight feel. Like his voice does that. It's just more of like the calling the action and calling the moments. Like you can tell when it was a top star guy, he was like going crazy for the moments. But when it was someone lower on the card, his voice was kind of eh. The best part still was the Drew McIntyre theme. Like I was laughing my ass off, but he's like, that's Drew McIntyre in a hoodie and stuff. No suspense. Who is
every other WWE commentator would have been like, who's that? Who's that?
I loved it. Like I love that Joe Tessitore is just taking this. And my one friend, he texted me this, and I agree. It felt like, you know, WWE always says they're big league. This made it feel like a big league type of deal. Like this felt like a big league type of signing and a big league feeling with Joe Tessitore. But I think for a first time, he was way better than a lot of people, even better than like, you know, Jimmy Smith. It took him forever just to get used to like doing anything and stuff like. And so I think Joe, very good first week for him. And I just think that it'll only get better as him and Wade's chemistry starts to get. I actually would prefer if he stayed on Raw, to be honest. I think he'd be perfect for Netflix, but I understand we need McAfee on there, so that's way more important than having a legit boxing, legit football commentators. So I get it. Yeah.
I honestly would have the only nitpicks I have is more with WWE's decision making, and I would have put Tessitore with Corey Graves because Corey Graves has more experience as a color commentator, and I think he could have done better with kind of walking him along in the different places where he needed more experience at. And two, why did they keep putting the camera on him when he's obviously reading from his paper of his notes? Like they kept putting the camera on. I'm like, just take the camera off him. He's doing great when you don't have the camera on him. Like, stop putting it on him and making him look like he's a rookie because he keeps looking down at his notes and he can't look into the camera like a Michael Cole. Like, you're exposing him. Don't do that. That's on WWE more than him. I want him to read from his notes if he has to, but WWE, you don't have to put the commentators on the camera every freaking hour of the show.
The one thing that I liked about his commentary was, and this was just a little thing, he gave dates when events happened. It wasn't like Michael Cole, and Michael Cole goes, remember Wade, a few weeks ago when Ivy Nile betrayed, he was like, on the July 18th episode, Ivy Nile stabbed. And I was like, he's giving episode dates. That way you can go back and watch these moments. I love that Tessitore did that. Like it just felt more polished than what I'm used to hearing and stuff. But like, and then he needs to learn the move names. Like he was just like, I felt sometimes he was forcing, like Brutus did the cannonball. He called it the Brutus bomb. And I'm like, I thought he called it just a cannonball, unless he does call it the Brutus bomb. I don't remember.
It's the Brutus bomb. The one and only mistake that I kind of noted in my notes for Tessitore as far as moves was when Dragunov hit the torpedo Moscow, he called it a shoulder block. That was the only one.
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only one. But I would give him a solid B for night one, and he's already light years ahead of the Adnan Vert. And I agree with Chase. He kind of is ahead of the Jimmy Smith. He's less of those guys and more of a Mauro Ranallo making the transition over to professional wrestling.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
good stuff.
Good enough.
Good stuff from Tessitore here. And the show kicked off proper with our opening segment as we had the former WWE Women's World Champion, Rhea Ripley. She entered to start the show and welcomed us to Monday Night Mommy. The crowd cheered as she spoke about her win alongside Damian Priest over Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, but they weren't done yet. He said that was just the start of their revenge against the New Judgment Day, and it was time for her to regain what she never lost, so she called out Liv Morgan to the ring. Instead, she got her former Latino heat, Dominic Mysterio, who had a nice looking shiner on his eye, had a black eye, I guess from the match at Bash in Berlin. Ripley said that nobody wanted to hear him speak as the crowd was giving him a great deal of heat, booing him out the building, not allowing him to talk. Dom had to interrupt his sentence every 5 seconds to scream up Hurley in Spanish. Rhea says that he should get his little girlfriend before she gives him another black eye. Dom said that Morgan was still recovering from what she did to her in Berlin. He was like, they didn't get any sleep. They were jet lagged. They didn't get much sleep because of the trip to Berlin and other reasons. Specs. Dom said that Morgan wasn't afraid of Ripley, and Morgan accepted her challenge. Morgan beat Ripley before and will beat her again, and Dom would win the Intercontinental Championship, and they would both be champions at the end. Ripley in Spanish told Dom that he was el stupido. Ripley wanted Dom to tell Morgan that she would fight her anytime, any place. Morgan then showed up and tried to sneak attack Rhea, but she caught her and stopped her from getting a cheap shot in. Ripley then turned to Dom and went after him, but the distraction allowed Morgan to kick and attack Rhea Ripley, hanging her up by her ankle in the ring ropes. Morgan started booting at her leg, injuring her knee in the process before kissing Rhea Ripley right on the cheek. This led to Damian Priest running out to assist. The heels bailed. Ripley sold her leg big time here. And then after the commercial break, we saw trainers checking on Rhea Ripley backstage. She screamed at them. Priest urged her to let the trainers assist, and Priest said that he would talk to Adam Pearce on getting revenge and dealing with the Judgment Day later tonight. Ripley agreed to let the trainers assist her. We got the setup for a show-long narrative as Damian Priest tried to get revenge on the Judgment Day for what they did in the opening here. I thought it was an effective opening segment. Rhea Ripley is just over like crazy. Dom and Liv are just getting a bunch of heat from the fans, especially Dom here. Liv Morgan got to look a little bit strong in using the distraction to her advantage and injuring Rhea Ripley in the process. And I always love when a opening segment sets up a show-long narrative for the show. So that's a big thumbs up for me as well. Chase, what did you think about this opening segment here?
Yeah, everything you said. I love when there's like a plot from the beginning of the show and it leads to the end of the show. So really like this opening segment. And I like that they're setting up some type of injury for Rhea Ripley because let's be real. If Rhea and Liv, they're both healthy, like you're going to choose Rhea Ripley to win. So you got to keep giving Liv some type of handicap of how she could beat Mommy because I don't think Rhea is going to win the title anytime soon. I mean, she could. I mean, she absolutely could. But I think what Liv's doing is totally fine for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think I would like if Liv put over someone new on when she loses that belt, not someone like that's already been established. And plus, when Rhea wins that belt, I just don't know who's going to beat her. I don't have a list of women that will beat Rhea Ripley at this time. So I like this opening segment. Dom's great, especially when the fans are, going at him. I love it when he has to stop and get frustrated. Like you can tell it sometimes bugs him, but according on that Logan Paul, it doesn't bug him. But yeah, that crowd seems to bug him just a little bit. But yeah, Rhea, just everything about her. I'm just like, if you would have told me this woman would have been the star that she is when she was wrestling the Mae Young Classic, I'd have been like, she has the look, but I don't know if she will be like, nah, like I said, she easily number 3 biggest star in the WWE right now. It's not even close. Roman, Cody, Rhea. Anyone if you try to tell me anyone else, I'll just say nope. It's Rhea. Rhea's number 3 right now, and it's God. Like every time her music hits, it's just that's when the crowd gets a lot. The crowd could be dead, and just as my brutality hits and Rhea comes out, but yeah, Rhea she just demands that attention when she's in that ring. So yeah, I really like this opening segment.
Rob, what about you?
You know, it was really solid. That, like you said at the beginning, Dominic was getting the heat. They were going back and forth. You could just tell they were the tension. Like, you knew Rhea she wanted to kick Dom's ass. Like, you could just tell that she just wanted to just kick his head off, Jason Needham style. You know, she just wanted to go. Like, she was ready to go with Dom, and she would have taken Liv on, but she would have fought Dom too. So she was that livid, and that was good because the crowd was all over Dom. Crowd was all over her because she got a monster pop like normal. You know, and then that ring rope spot. Anytime I see that, I always cringe because it just looks like hell. You know, so
Yeah,
it was good, and like you said too, it set up the whole show, like a 3-hour show. You know, they kept, I don't know how many backstage segments they ended up having, 3 or 4, and
yeah,
it was
quite a
solid.
few.
Yeah, and you know, like my favorite backstage segment was the one where Rhea says, "I got an idea," or when she goes, "I got somebody," or something like that, and we knew who it was, and it was like, okay, I like it, let's go, you know, and yeah, it was solid. It was real good, and I think we know that it's going to set up for something at Bad Blood too. So not necessarily a mixed tag team match again, but I think it's going to be. I think Damian is finally going to get Priest 1-on-1, and
You mean
think,
Balor?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant. Priest versus Balor 1-on-1. So I think we're going to get that, and I would like to see it where the rest of Judgment Day is like in a cage or something, like stuck in a cage where they can't be part of the match. I would like to see something like that happen. So we'll see.
I can see that. We got a bunch of people in the chat who really enjoyed this opening segment. Safet says this opening segment was great. Like I said, I love a show-long narrative, and it definitely set up that. We'll get into the bunch of the backstage segments in a bit here, but before then, you had the opening matchup, which started off with Chad Gable hyping up American Made backstage. He was sick of the Wyatt Six, making them look like fools. He told American Made that they were the best athletes to show up in this locker room in 10 years. He says he smacked Julius Creed before he went out there. That smack was hard as hell, as this led to the Creeds, Julius and Brutus, teaming up with Ivy Nile to verse Chad Gable's former charges in the Alpha Academy, Maxine Dupree, Otis, and Akira Tozawa. This one was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. I thought that this would kind of be a shorter matchup to put over American Made, but I would say Maxine, probably the best she's looked in ring. That's why I just hope she stops doing this goddamn work, because it's the worst thing in her arsenal. Everything else she does looked great in this matchup, and then she had to do the work. Otis used Tozawa as a weapon at one point, basically spinning him around and hitting the members of the Creeds. Dupree did a nice little dive, wiping out American Made on the floor before we went to commercial break. When we came back, American Made were isolating Tozawa. Tozawa hit a conveniently timed DDT and made the hot tag to Otis, who started running wild. Otis did the caterpillar, the big elbow drop onto Julius. Otis just sort of threw himself at Brutus, but Julius broke up the cover. Tozawa gave Julius a big German suplex. He hit Brutus with a suicide dive. He tried a dive on Julius, but Julius caught him and hit a nice-looking overhead belly-to-belly suplex on the floor. Otis knocked Julius off the apron, but Brutus knocked him down with the Brutus ball to the outside. Dupree and now we're left in the ring. Dupree was looking good once again. She had a nice little Northern Light suplex, did the Sammy Guevara kip up. Chad Gable tried to distract Dupree, and so she knocked him off of the apron, but the distraction was enough for Ivy now to lock in her Dragon Sleeper and make Dupree tap out to give American Made the victory here. Post-match, as they celebrated, Chad Gable got on the mic, and he says that he should have had a one-on-one classic against Uncle Howdy last week, but Howdy used his freaks to get the win. Gable knew what it would take to finish them once and for all, so he challenged them to an 8-man tag. He meant 8-person tag. 8-person tag, and he says that he wants to make it a street fight next week on Raw. American Made would get rid of the Wyatts, and not just for the fans, but for the locker room, but for America. And the crowd booed. I was like, oh my God, a U.S. gimmick got booed by the fans. This is how you know WWE's hot as hell. Is when they boo an American gimmick in Denver, Colorado. Uncle Howdy, then the lights went out. The Wyatt piano hit, and Uncle Howdy came out. He says that his sanity crumbled 375 days ago. The silence in his brain was deafening, but he could still hear. His life was no longer his. Gable was gambling his own well-being, and the Wyatts would collect the debt. The Wyatt Six then appeared around Uncle Howdy as they seemingly, I guess that cryptic words were them accepting the challenge, and the lights went out, and we got the Wyatt at the end. Good stuff. Good stuff here. Oh, I enjoyed the Wyatt Six presentation, and Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, is getting down his brother's ability to put words all together, and it sounds so elegant, but half of us don't understand what he's saying. But this was well done. Well done. He pulled it off very well. And like I said, I thought the match was a pretty good matchup overall, but much better than I thought it would be. And Maxine Dupree looked good. She just got to stop the caterpillar shit. Like, just let Otis do the caterpillar. Do not do the cartwheel into the reverse caterpillar. It does not look good, Maxine. Everything else you did looked great in this matchup. You have improved so much. Just stop doing that. That's all I want. Rob, what did you think about the 6-man and the post-match with the Wyatt Six?
I enjoyed the match. It was good. I had a feeling going into it that, of course, Tozawa, Otis, and Maxine were going to lose because they're still going with the Wyatt Six, and I knew they had to continue this going, so I knew that was going to happen. I have been very impressed with Maxine. You can definitely tell that she's been working on her routines and just working in general down in Florida. So she's putting a lot of effort into it. So shout out to her for that. And I agree with the caterpillar part. It's just let Otis do it. Like, please, just let Otis do it. The promo with Gable, it was weird hearing like how, like he said, for America, and it just kind of like, it didn't really seem to go over. Like, it's just like, yeah, okay. I get it. But then the Y6 did their thing, and it went well. Like, you know, and you're right. When Uncle Howdy starts talking, it's kind of like it's all hidden words for the most part. You're trying to put the puzzle together, and for the most part you have an idea what he's talking about, but some people would just have no idea, like if you don't watch all the time. So I hope they kind of come around and fix a lot of that, but in a way I also remember the Fiend and Bray Wyatt kind of being like that. So he's doing really well in that aspect. So I thought the storyline last night for them went great. I am anxious to see what they do in Calgary next week for their street fight, because we know that Calgary is known for their street fights. So it's a tough guy town. Yeah, we'll see. I'm glad they're keeping going on, and it makes sense for the Creeds to be involved, obviously, with Gable now, if that was the way they were going. Because before this, we all thought, like, for a while that it's a matter of time for the Creeds to join Gable. I mean, it was kind of one of those things, we're just waiting for it. So the fact that they finally did it, and now he has them with this whole feud, I actually thought they planned it out pretty well, and we should see where it goes.
Yeah,
but I expect the Wyatts to go over.
Yeah, me too. That's why I was about to say I just want them to get away from the Wyatts. I think that they
Yeah.
can get on some momentum if they just stop feuding with the Wyatts after next week. Chase, what did you think about the 6-man and the 6-person tag and the follow-up?
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw this match, I rolled my eyes. I said, "Again, we're gonna do this." I'm like, "No, I do not want to see this." But like you said, surprisingly good. I didn't see myself enjoying this match, but it did hit the check marks. Like you guys said, Maxine, she keeps improving, which is good. I think Maxine is the perfect example. Find a woman to tag with her. I think she works better in tag matches. I think singles, that's far away from Maxine Dupree at this point. Find someone that is willing to tag with her, help her out, because she does good when she needs to do the hot tag stuff. That was probably some of her best showcase stuff. Like, yeah, like you said, no more Caterpillar. I sold all my Julius Creed stock when he got the Death Rebel thing because I thought it was done. I'm back in. I bought more stocks. I'm back in on Julius Creed. He's my guy. I love this guy. I hope one day. I also snuck in some Brutus stock in there. His Bloodsport match convinced me that there could be something there. But I'm glad they're getting the showcase. But like you said, I'm so done with this Wyatt Six stuff. I'm not done with the Wyatt Six. I'm just done with American Made versus the Wyatt Six. But
Yeah.
hey, Abby the Witch, she's gonna wrestle next week. So finally we can see her do her thing. So cool. But at least it set up a intriguing match next week, and it is going to be a street fight. So that plays more into the Wyatt Six type of thing for them in the ring. So it won't be a bad match, and it's going to be a fun little excursion. So, but yeah, I just need American Made. Like, look, WWE, you have these teams. They're called the tag team titles. Wyatt Six has a team. American Made has a team. I don't know, novel concept. Maybe these guys go for the tag titles. That'd be great. But yeah, so because especially because with Chad Gable, his whole thing is that he got the creeds and he's trying to say I can make you guys better. Well, what's losing to these freaks in masks make you guys better? You guys are kind of doing the same thing you were doing, making them tag team champions. Now I'm on Coach Gable's side and stuff. So
Yeah, I agree with you there.
And I just want to add one more thing to it. Next, like this, when they have their street fight, there's going to be something cool like backstage when they do this, like that's going to freak Gable out, something. And what I would hope they do, this is just the fan in me, where they kind of have like Jason Jordan, like all like dead, something like that. Just kind of like to freak him out even more. Just kind of like put him in makeup and just to show like his past of like Chad Gable, just to freak him out. I think that would be perfect. Will they? No, but that's how I would book it.
Next up, we had singles action. You had Shayna Baszler of Pure Fusion Collective. It kills my soul every time I have to say that name. She's with Sonya Deville and Zoe Stark. They're going up against Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega had a very emotional, touching moment on her way to the ring. A fan in the crowd had her father's name, saying to remember him as we're coming close to the 9/11 anniversary. So it was nice to see kind of Zelina getting emotional during her entrance there. But the matchup did not last too long. This one went 6.5 minutes. They went to commercial break after like 90 seconds. Vega hit a moonsault after the break for a 2 count. She had a low 619 to knock Zoe Stark off the apron and then use a dive to take out Sonya Deville. The referee watched all of this transpire, and then Zelina came back into the ring, and Shayna catches her with a kick to the gut, and that was it. 1, 2, 3. I don't know if this needed to be on the show. I like all these ladies, but they're not really selling me on this Pure Fusion Collective mini push because they never. It's more of a nudge. It's not really a push. It's more of a nudge that they're giving them. They beat up Zelina Vega in the post match. Then we had the returning Lyra Valkyria. She tried to make the save, but they laid her out as well. Sonya Deville, though, she cut a good promo here. She gets on the mic and says that there's no one in the back or in the crowd who could take them out. There's no man that could take them home and no woman that could take them in the ring. And she dared anyone to shoot their shot. Chase, what did you think about this matchup and the post-match and Sonya's promo here?
it didn't need to be on the show. I was felt bad for Zelina, got beat up. She got beat up again. Sucks. Sonya's promo was good. I like that. My friend, he texted me Becky Lynch eye emojis and stuff, and I said, if they bring Becky Lynch back to feud with the PFC, what are we doing? That makes no sense because of the man line. My friend is very big. He hears a line, he loves to like overthink it, and it's the funniest text that I get every time when I'm watching Raw. Lila Valkyria coming out, sure. What happened to the Party Girls? They were also feuding with the PFC. I guess they were like,
they got taken out too. So.
Yeah. They're like, nah, Lara, you got this. The backstage segment is where I was laughing my ass off. Where they were like, "There's two."
I was gonna mention that Vega and Valkyria were pissed and tired of Pure Fusion Collective, and they knew they needed a partner for next week. And Valkyria says, "Well, we're in Calgary next week. I have an idea." And I can't believe how many people on social media was like, "Oh, it's got to be Becky Lynch." I'm like, it's obviously Natalya.
That's why I was laughing. I was all like, "We like no, Natty's great. Served her time. We're trying to heat up Natty in 2024 as like some big mystery. She going to help take out the PFC." I thought it was hilarious, like just like the subtle hint, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. But yeah, I guess it's crazy. Once again, SP3 more trios are being formed, but nothing for those tag titles. That's great, awesome.
You know what caught my attention about this is like I'm glad Natalya's back. I like Natalya a lot, but what makes this interesting is if you go back before Natalya was off TV for a while, one of the first persons that Sonya talked to was Natalya, like in the back.
Oh no!
I have a feeling. I think she's turning heel in Calgary, and they're going to be a foursome. So foursome. Oh, wow. And Sonya, I will take my shot. I know you don't like guys, but maybe you'll change your mind. Look at this. So there, I took my shot. There you go.
Good. Great.
I think that'll work.
What if this whole meta for the Pure Fusion Collective, Ronda Rousey's really the puppet master behind the scenes? She's forming this group of women that she likes.
I'm here for it. You convinced me. Pure Fusion Collective. I'm buying some stock.
That sounds like a Ronda Rousey name. We're like the Pure Fusion Collective of this industry. We have MMA, wrestling, all this, and if you look at the names, all friends of Ronda Rousey to some degree. Sonya's a friend,
except for Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe's probably the outsider. Like Shayna's like, no, trust me, Ronda, I'll vouch for her. I got her. She's great. I love her. Like and she's like, okay, I'll take it.
We got a bunch of people who also believe it's going to be Natalya next week. The aforementioned segments that Rob was talking about with the Terror Twins was next. First, we get Rhea Ripley, who is in a knee brace and has a crutch. She's told by Priest that it was. Well, she tells Priest that it was just a precaution and she would be fine. Priest says that he spoke with Adam Pearce and was told Finn Balor would only face him in a tag team matchup. He didn't have any other friends around here except for Rhea, so he couldn't have a match. You can audibly hear the crowd chanting "Yeet" at this point, which I guess Rhea Ripley heard it too because she says, "I think I have someone in mind. I have an idea." Priest smirks as he's about to walk away because it didn't take him long to figure out who she meant, and she says to let him know what he says. And then a few segments later, we see the two in the same spot backstage, and Priest asks, what did he say? And Ripley responds, he didn't say yes. And he's like, oh man, he said yeet. And of course, we know what that means. It is Jey Uso who will team with Damian Priest later in the night. But this was not the end of the backstage segment setting up the main event. That's why I said I always enjoy a show-long narrative. Any thoughts on the two segments there with Jey Uso being Rhea Ripley's idea for a partner for Damian Priest?
Thumbs up.
I thought
loved it.
Yeah, thumbs up. I liked it, and I liked how she said it to him. She goes, he didn't say yes, he said yeet, and I was like, perfect. That was like the perfect line too, because once she said that, you could hear the crowd just it just like the levels, it just went higher. You could just hear it go, and I was like, yeah, that's over. Like, I mean, that crowd is hot for yeeting. So
Absolutely. I will give them credit on this show. This show was a direct answer to Rikishi because there was a lot of Jey
Yes.
Uso on this show. They pushed Jey Uso got the whole thing. He's trying to bag Rhea Ripley. Now he's in this whole Terra Twins versus Judgment Day rivalry. We get later in the show, a reminder, he's also in the finals of the Intercontinental title #1 Contenders tournament. And then looming all above that is that the bloodline, everything that's going on with the bloodline over on SmackDown, which he will eventually become involved in. This was a big FU to Rikishi, who said that Jay should leave to go to AEW.
I can't wait till Roman comes back and he's like, can't you see mommy's manipulating you? Come back home to daddy, Jay. You need to come back to the bloodline. I can't wait till Roman has to re-manipulate Jey Uso. It's going to be great.
He has to gaslight him as a babyface now. But next up was the segment that a lot of people were talking about coming out of Monday Night Raw, coming hot off the heels of his first victory in WWE in 10.5 years. CM Punk was in Denver, Colorado, and I said this to Jimmy Macri. I'm watching the show live. I was like, he's appropriately happy now. Like when he came off the heels of SummerSlam losing, and he's cutting a promo like, I'm still happy. I'm like, you're not supposed to be. But you are appropriately happy here. You finally got the victory over Drew McIntyre in the strap match. He says that doesn't it feel good to be in Denver on a Monday night? He couldn't wait to get home to his wife and dog in Chicago, but he had to make a pit stop in Denver to celebrate with the fans. He says the strap match was hell and one of the toughest matches he's had. He meant what he said, though. It's good to be alive in Denver. It was good to be on the other side of a personal issue, and now it was time to get down to business. And that's what he was, a businessman. Okay, so listening to some Jay-Z. He said it before. He wasn't here to make friends. He was here to make money, and he'll take it in cash, direct deposit. He's like Patrick Boy in 1996. He'll take it in gold. Outdated hockey reference, check. Punk spoke about Gunther, who put on an instant classic with Randy Orton and put him through hell, one of the best to ever do it. Nothing could replace the chip on Punk's shoulder other than the World Championship. And he says that it was time for CM Punk to wake up as champion. The crowd started chanting CM Punk, CM Punk. Punk congratulated Gunther and told him to enjoy it. We're going to enjoy taking it off of you. The goal is gold and the target is Gunther. And Punk told Gunther to get used to hearing Cult of Personality because what's his name? CM Punk. The music hit. He started celebrating around ringside, hitting the, shaking hands with the fans. He gets up on the announce desk and starts posing on top of it. When Drew McIntyre shows up, trips him on the announce table. He's wearing a hoodie, and Joe Tessitore immediately says, "That's Drew McIntyre in a hoodie." Great call. McIntyre slammed Punk's head after exposing it was him. He started slamming him into the announce table. Barrett tried to get in between them. Why? I don't really know. He was like, you got to calm down. And Barrett tried to reason with him, but Drew just blew by him and hits Punk with a Claymore kick, knocking him out of one of his Nike shoes in the process. McIntyre then throws Punk into the ring, and he hits a second Claymore right to Punk's head. McIntyre then grabs Punk by the arm. He boots him in the head. As officials try to stop him, he warns them. He says, "You better not touch me or I'll kill you." I was like, God damn. He then removes CM Punk's very sentimental bracelet. He gets it back in his possession. He then takes the bracelet. It looks like he's about to put it on, but instead he rips it apart. He tears it apart, and this got a big reaction from the fans, which means that all the bracelet nonsense paid off. It paid off when they get that big a reaction for just ripping a 50-cent bracelet. Testator said that he crossed the line we have yet to see. I was like, he ripped apart the bracelet and he crossed the line. That's a great call by Testator. McIntyre then shoves the beads from the bracelet down CM Punk's throat. You have all the officials trying to pry Drew away from Punk as he's just shoving it down his throat. Then he hits him with a third Claymore. All the beads start flying. Punk is grabbing his throat like he just choked on one of the beads. Officials finally removed McIntyre from the ring. Pierce frantically calls for medics to come down. They come down with a damn stretcher to the ring, and they put Punk on the stretcher. After a commercial break, they're carted Punk away, now in a neck brace, bleeding from the mouth through the back on the stretcher towards an ambulance. And then out of nowhere, McIntyre pulls a Stone Cold Steve Austin to Bret Hart and starts beating on Punk some more. He hammers away at Punk until he was carried away by officials. And Pierce dramatically said to Punk, "Talk to me! Talk to me!" And he didn't respond. Punk looks like a murder victim yet again at the hands of Drew McIntyre. This is probably the best way to kind of kickstart. I thought that the most ideal way was probably Drew McIntyre doing that home invasion after all the talk of CM Punk's family. But if you were gonna do an in front of the fans angle to set up a third matchup between the two, just how basically one-sided the finish of that strap match was. I was like, is this feud over? I knew it wasn't over, but they booked it like it was. Like, McIntyre tapped out to the sharpshooter when it was no submissions in the damn matchup. He got hit with 5 GTSs before Punk got the bracelet back. It felt like the end of the feud, but this was a very effective, very good segment to set up a third match between the two and give CM Punk, it looked like an injury angle where he could take some time off before we get Hell in a Cell coming up in October at Bad Blood. So very good segment, and arguably the best segment of the night, the best angle of the night. Rob, what did you think about Drew McIntyre destroying the bracelet and attacking CM Punk?
I thought it was really solid how they did everything. And of course you had I agree with you, the great reaction from Joe Testator with that's Drew McIntyre in the hood. I thought that was good. The one thing I will say is I can't picture CM Punk not being in Calgary next week with his childhood hero being there, so I think we might see him attack Drew or something. I don't know. I can't picture him not being there. That's just me, or maybe he'll be off camera. Maybe I just see him there. But I thought the whole segment was good, and I think it's obvious they're heading towards a Hell in a Cell match. I hope that's where they're headed, because the next one needs to be it. It really does. That needs to be it, because they're both 1-1, so let's go that route. Let's let them end it at Bad Blood and go from there. But I thought the segment overall was good, solid. My heart broke along with the bracelet. No, it was fine, but I liked it. I thought it was good.
I'm just glad that the bracelet shit is over. Bye bracelet, as my
bracelet gate. Says. Yeah, bracelet gate.
Broken beads. Chase, what did you think about the Drew McIntyre CM Punk segment?
I learned going to Taylor Swift concerts that these bracelets are real deal. So I felt very emotional. I could only imagine if a girl that went to a Taylor Swift concert and she had her friendship bracelet broken. So it was a little bit more emotional than you guys were about the bracelet, but excellent segment. I wish Punk watched other sports. He had a really good, I'm just like the Joker. Everyone says that I'm not the best, but I'm the best in the world. But of course, some 1996 hockey reference. That's good enough. I don't think most of the people in that building were alive when that happened. So I don't think.
Yeah, that didn't get as big a reaction as he was probably hoping.
Yeah, because the Joker's right there. You and the Joker. If I were to compare anyone to CM Punk as a wrestler to NBA players, the Joker. everyone just refuses that he's good. He proves that he's good every single time. Not the most athletically gifted, but he somehow gets the job done. That's CM Punk in a nutshell, and perfect reference right there. And he dropped the ball like he normally does. But yeah, no, this was great. Drew was awesome in this segment. I love Tessitore trying to sell this, that this was as big as Rock and Cody. Like he's like, we've seen a lot of big attacks, Wade. That's up there with the Chicago episode where The Rock destroyed Cody Rhodes outside. I was like, I don't believe it, but I'm sure people that are watching are believing that this is a huge attack. So I personally really liked it in a great way because, like, Punk had Drew in the rearview mirror. He's calling out Gunther. He's saying, Gunther, it's time for you to face the best in the world. And Drew's like, not on my watch, buddy. I'm still mad at what you did to me. And for Drew, that must have been an embarrassing loss for him. And so I can see why Drew McIntyre, the best hater in the WWE, would want to attack CM Punk. So, yeah, no, I like this segment, especially reheating the feud because like CM Punk and Gunther, that's no bad blood match. Come on, we ain't wasting that on bad blood. That's
Survivor Series, Royal Rumble.
Yeah, my boy Punk don't wrestle these world title matches on these filler PLEs. He wrestles them on the big shows. Come on, man, big money Punk.
Indeed, big money Punk. And yeah, it was. I think it was PWN that reported that Punk versus Gunther has been discussed for Survivor Series in Vancouver. So you got to have the Hell in a Cell. I don't know what they're going to do for Gunther for a crown jewel. And I doubt CM Punk is going to want to go and make himself look like the biggest hypocrite to Saudi Arabia. So I think
the minute he sees the extra zeros on that Saudi check, he's there. Look, if Shawn Michaels, who refused to wrestle because of his respect to the Undertaker, and Undertaker had to call him and say, brother, you're going to make the most money. And I know this from the One Dead Man show that my uncle forced me to go to. At Undertaker's One Dead Man show, he talked about the tag team match with Kane and Undertaker, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels. And that Shawn wasn't in on the match because Shawn really respected Taker and didn't want to wrestle. And Undertaker, in his words, said, I had to call that motherfucker up and tell him, look, man, you're going to be making more than you ever did in your career just for this one match. So you're fucking wrestling this match. And everyone in the crowd, that was probably the best part of the One Dead Man show, is when Undertaker told that story and that Shawn was like, how much am I going to be making? And Undertaker said, I ain't going to say an amount, but let's just say it's a good 8 figures. And then later on, everyone's like, oh, and stuff. and then Shawn Michaels, said, well, I guess I have to grow back my hair. And then hang up the phone on Undertaker.
There we go. Make that money, Punk. Make that money. We do have a super chat donation here from our good brother, Chuck Berries. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries, for the support. He says, when Drew shoved those beads in Punk's mouth, I gagged, knowing the various places that necklace has been. Like, can we just say that Drew McIntyre is the real winner of this whole entire rivalry?
Yeah.
Because CM Punk got his bracelet back and kissed the bracelet after his resting on Drew McIntyre's sweaty balls. And then a few days later, he shoved that same necklace down his throat. Like he has deep-throated Drew McIntyre's balls.
Yeah, he took these nuts in his mouth, man. That's and Punk, just based off how he handles his hair, hygiene and stuff, I don't think he washes those bracelets. I don't think he's one of those guys that use the restroom and forget to wash their hands for sure. Like CM Punk comes off as one of those guys I'm peeing next to at Home Depot and they just walk out and I'm just like, yo, wash your hands, bro. Like bro, what is this? Yeah.
Yeah, I hope CM Punk likes tea because he got teabagged.
Yeah.
Indeed. Twice. He got teabagged twice. What are we doing, Punk?
Has the person that made that bracelet, has she gone on Twitter to say anything like about the bracelet being broken?
Yes.
I want to know.
Yes. She thanked Punk and WWE for like something that she was a very sentimental gift to her that has been a big part of one of the best feuds in wrestling this year. So, yeah. And Drew, she's been talking trash with Drew.
Yeah, Drew tweeted her last night. So he said something. I can't remember what it was, but he did tweet her.
He said his blood is on your hands.
That's what it is.
On a side note of Drew, I read an interview where he was talking about the picture that he took with Jack Perry. I love his explanation. He's like, no, I just saw him as a great young wrestler. I just wanted to, like, I was just like reading it in his character voice, and I'm like, Drew, you know why you took that picture. I love it, man.
So,
Drew's so great.
someone on Twitter put Young Bucks, Tony Khan, Seth Rollins, and Hangman Adam Page in the same picture with them. someone photoshopped all the people, all the CM Punk ops, and yeah, we gotta send love to Drew McIntyre. Like, his intensity in this segment was unreal. Like, he makes you believe he truly hates CM Punk with every segment they do, whether it's on the mic, whether it's physicality. But here, he just seemed like obsessed and possessed to just put a beating and destroy the bracelet against CM Punk here. This was great.
And Drew's one of the nicest guys outside of wrestling too. Like, if you meet him, he's super nice and just super cool. And so, like, when you see this from him, it's just like, damn, dude, this guy has it. Like, I'm actually gonna go see that Batista movie in theaters and see like how he does acting wise. So
yeah. That's a good show by Belle here with the comment. She says, I wonder if the Hell in a Cell will have a loser leaves the brand stip, because can they finish this and next episode of Raw just move on at this point? Drew kind of mentioned that. He said that this whole thing with him and CM Punk is not going to be over unless one of us leaves the company or we move to another brand. I wouldn't mind them saying it's Hell in a Cell, loser leaves the brand.
Yeah, I think Drew makes the most sense for like being on SmackDown. To be honest, like that would.
And you're giving Cody another guy that he can feud with, and a guy that can say he's beaten Cody since his return. He's the only other guy outside of Roman who can really, and Brock, that can say that.
Yeah, so like I think that would make the most sense too. And then he has other feuds as well. You know, maybe Solo Sikoa pisses him off or something. So that'd be great. That would help Solo. He needs someone like a Drew McIntyre to feud with. So
yeah, I wouldn't mind a babyface Roman going against this heel Drew McIntyre too, because of their history too.
Yeah, that would be great.
Next up, we had the Intercontinental title #1 contenders tournament triple threat matchup. Dominic Mysterio versus Dragon Lee versus Ilya Dragunov. We got a nice little exchange early on as Dominic tried to fight off both men, but they just started bouncing him back and forth with punches. Eventually, Ilya Dragunov hits a nice little German suplex onto both Dominic and Dragon Lee at the same time. After an early break, we get Carlito ran out. He tries to attack Dragon Lee during the matchup to give Dominic the advantage. Dom tries to go for a 619, but Dragunov catches him. Carlito, though, is eventually stopped by Damian Priest, who comes down to get his hands on Carlito, and then he goes after Dominic Mysterio, chasing him through the crowd into the back. Dom is woefully giving up a potential Intercontinental Championship shot at this point. But the match got really good because it left Dragon Lee versus Ilya Dragunov, the battle of the dragons here. They had a good back and forth exchange. It was like Dragon Lee went too fast and they had like a slight botch, which led to Dragon Lee hitting a sit-out powerbomb. But the crowd still chanted, "This is awesome." That's how good these guys are, and that's how over the WWE is at this point. You get a DVD into the corner. We get super kick being exchanged by Dragon Lee, but Dragunov bounces off the ropes, hits Torpedo Moscow for the 1-2-3 to move on to the final fatal four-way matchup next week on the season premiere of Monday Night Raw on the USA. So far as Dragunov joining in with Jey Uso and Pete Dunne. This was a good triple threat matchup. I wish it got like 5 more minutes because it could have been great, especially giving Dragon Lee and Dragunov more time to really cook, because that's what everybody wanted to see in this matchup here. But they were trying to cook too much, and that's why we had the little miscue here. But good stuff nonetheless. Rob, what did you think about the triple threat?
Very solid match. I would agree 100% with you that a few more minutes would have been great. However, it worked out well, and I'm very glad that Dragunov got the victory here, because I think he needed it. Well, he didn't need it per se, but I think adding him to this 4-way match is good. The Dragon Lee would have been fine winning. I just knew they couldn't go with Dominic, and it's not because Dominic doesn't need it, but he's busy right now with the different feuds, so I don't really want to see him in a title picture. So I thought it was I thought it was well done.
Good stuff. Chase, what about you? What do you think about the triple threat?
I thoroughly enjoyed this match. I love the little Judgment Day run in, Dom running away. That was great. And then once Dragunov and Dragon Lee got into it, that was great. But I think Dragon Lee, the reason why he was kind of going too fast, he's used to speed. He only has 3 minutes to tell his story, so he's not used to all this time. But yeah, like you said, if they just added just 2-3 more minutes, we would have had a really, really great match between these two, showing how much this tournament means to them. Like that's what I wanted, like, and then it just kind of ended a little bit quicker than I expected. But I appreciated the time that we had of Dragunov versus Dragon Lee. Really good match. And of course, Dragunov wins. He makes the most sense too. Has some history with Braun Breaker, the former Intercontinental champion, and he plays well as one of those guys that's always chasing the title, being the underdog. So like I really like that he went through in this match as the third to last participant. So
Yeah, we have one more we need to discuss. Before then, though, before Monday Night Raw, kind of the talk on social media was the fact that Odyssey Jones had been removed from the WWE roster page on their website. Led to a lot of like back and forth from various people, but we got confirmation as we see here from Romeo's comment. Thank you, Romeo. See, he's not running away from the grind. He's contributing to the show in the live chat here. He says that Fightful Select just reported that Odyssey Jones was removed from TV and the WWE roster page due to domestic violence allegations coming to light.
no.
No arrest or charges are known as of this time, and WWE hasn't responded to comment. That is, it's just like horrible timing on his part. Like for this to come to light now when he finally gets back on TV, like I think that no one would have even batted an eye to Odyssey Jones being removed from the WWE roster page 2 months ago or a month ago. But the fact that he just got back on TV, had a storyline developing with the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and then it comes to light, and now he's removed from TV and removed from the roster page. You guys have any reaction or response to this?
Hey, the one thing I'll say, if the allegations or whatever happened is true, nah, tough shit, man. You know, it's one of those things where don't do the crime, I
Can't
mean,
do the time.
That's how I feel about it. It sucks for him, but guess what? There's no excuse. I mean, in my opinion. But again, I don't know the full story. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's easy for me to just say this stuff, but we just got to go from there until we know more.
Yeah. I think with WWE, especially with Triple H, hearing this type of stuff, if they were moving him from the roster, has to be something very serious where they're just like, okay, like there's no way you're innocent in this situation. It's a shame that this guy shot himself in the foot. He's very crucial to WWE, not just for television, but he's one of the guys they send to the NIL kids, and he recruits these NIL people, saying like, and all these athletes have dreams and aspirations of doing stuff in their current sport, but he does a good job at recruiting these people into saying, hey, come to WWE, trust me, like this, like where you think you're going to go, you can go 10 times higher than being an Olympic gymnast or being a professional football player and everything. So it's such a shame that a guy would shoot himself in the foot doing something so stupid. And especially a guy of your size. I mean, let's be real, Odyssey Jones, like no one would fuck with you no matter what. And the fact that you would do something so stupid, that's on you. So no sympathy for him. If it even if it's just something so harmless, like he shoved someone, a shove from Odyssey Jones is like getting hit by a Mack truck. Like, like I can't, like it doesn't matter to me. So, but yeah, so I think WWE, they've done their due diligence, and it was probably something that came up, and they probably looked into it, and they're like, yeah, dog, there's no way you're innocent. So, hey, he shot himself in the foot. It's on him. So,
yeah, it'd be one thing if he was just removed from TV until they were doing an investigation, but them removing him from the roster page has to say that these allegations have some type of evidence to them. So, like you guys, just echo what you guys said. Like we'll have to wait and see what happens, but it is very telling what their decision making here. We got a recap of the video package of Bronson Reed giving Braun Strowman the tsunami on a car last week. He is out on the show due to COVID. That tsunami was so strong it gave him COVID, and it had Braun Strowman talking like he had bronchitis. Kathy Kelly asks Pierce about Bronson Reed's replacement in the Intercontinental title tournament. Strowman entered and said that he wanted in the matchup. Pierce said that he shouldn't even be here after what Reed did to him. Strowman admitted that he was banged up. Well, he dramatically raised his t-shirt to show the damage and all the athletic tape on his ribs, but he had no bruising. But medical told him that he could go if he wanted to. Pierce was fine with that. If Strowman thought he was good to go, Strowman thanked him. This was fucking silly. Like, what? What? Like, are you kidding me? Like, dude, like, what? Like, but Pierce, you're not helping yourself at being the worst. Like, at least AEW, they haven't let Christopher Daniels do anything as stupid as stripping the Bang Bang Gang of the Trios titles since then. Y'all keep doing this to Adam Pierce every week, making him make dumb decisions. And this was the dumbest on this show.
100%. Like, first of all, Rhea Ripley can't wrestle because she got injured. So you're letting an injured Braun Strowman wrestle in a prestigious tournament after you said, I have a line out the door of people who want to wrestle. I understand why Strowman was in this match based off who won. But I'm just like, what the heck was this? Like, what? Like, you just let it, and then he's all like, medical said I can go if I can go. Well, if you want it, you're in the match, and then I'll talk to medical. No, motherfucker, you talk to medical first, saying, why are you clearing this guy wrestling? I have someone in mind. Look, I saw people on Twitter thinking WWE's not going to let Joe Henry wrestle on Raw. First of all, the guy's over. They don't want this guy to get more over than some of their main roster talents in this match. So no, this could have been a spot for anyone. They could have thrown anyone, but screw it. Throw Joaquin Wilde in this match. Who cares? Like, and stuff. But no, instead they throw out an injured Braun Strowman because obviously based off the winner, we know who was supposed to win this match, but suffered COVID, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I had a headache. It caused me to start a Google Doc of all the stupid things that Adam Pierce has done. And I'm going to keep filling it out. And by the end of the year, I'll read off all the stupid things Adam Pierce has done this year as Raw general manager. Because I just cannot believe, like, this guy just letting this obviously injured and battered Braun Strowman, when he has clearly stated he had a line out the door of people. Like, were these line out the door people just not good enough? Where you're just like, screw these guys and stuff. Like, this Adam Pierce makes no fucking sense, like, and stuff, like, but whatever. That's how they write him. They write him to be incompetent and stupid. Like, he's like that manager at work you just hate. You're just like, fuck, this guy's in today. Damn it. I was hoping he was on vacation.
Rob, any thoughts on Braun being the replacement?
Like, I think them going that route was just weird, but I mean, I get how they're going to do this, and they're still putting Bronson over by showing that he nearly destroyed Braun Strowman. So I get why they did it that way. But yeah, they make Adam Pierce look silly. I mean, with all this, and I do agree with that line. I noticed it yesterday when Adam Pierce is like, I'm going to talk to medical, like, after he already put him out. I'm like, well, what the hell's the point now?
Exactly.
Like, what if like the match already happened, and you go, no, we never told him that. Well,
what if he lied?
Yeah. It's like, what? Okay. I'm like, a part of me hopes that was just a misstep on, like, the script, because I was like, huh? What? And I didn't think of the standpoint from the Rhea, like, well, he wouldn't let her wrestle because of that. But I mean, you make a good point there too. So it's one of those things where they tried to make it make sense, even though it didn't really make sense. As weird as that is to say, I get where they were going. You know what I mean? It seemed like very Vince McMahon type booking there. Like, I'll say that much.
Yeah.
I get it if you're trying to build Braun Strowman up or something, and it's pretty badass that he's walking after that incident and everything, but no one's really clamoring for Braun Strowman in 2024. This ain't 2019 or 2017 anymore, bud. This is 2024. He's significantly cooled down. He's good for what he needs to do. The choo-choo train and the choo-choo train. I'm trying to think what else Braun Strowman brings to the table.
That's it. That's pretty much it. And he allows commentary to say one big son of the bitch.
Yeah, I hate
Joe
that.
Justin Door didn't want to curse on his first night, so he said one big SOB.
I hate that Braun Strowman keeps getting over stupid little phrases. Get these hands, one big SOB. Like, oh, sickening.
Here we are. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, the new women's tag team champions, are out on by the commentary desk ringside to watch the number one contenders matchup of Damage Control, Io Sky and Kairi Sane versus the former champions Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. Like the opening matchup, the baby faces were in control before the break, but the heels were in control with no explanation after the commercial break 90 seconds into the matchup. He gets Sane hits Dawn with a diving elbow outside of the went for a diving elbow drop outside of the ring, but Dawn was able to pull Bianca Belair into the way, but unfortunately, she pulled her out of position, which led to Kairi Sane overshooting Bianca Belair, and she landed face first onto the announce table, and she got cut the hell up. She was busted open after that. Thankfully for Bianca Belair, it could have been worse because she could have got a concussion, but Bianca pulled her back. If you see it in slow motion, you'll be able to see she pulled Kairi back from getting more damage. Cargill gave Kairi a big punch because I guess that was the planned spot. But while all of that is happening, Io Sky was fighting on her own against the heels. They eventually hit their double team, Gory Bomb, Flatliner for the 1-2-3. So once again, the former champions are the number one contenders. They will face Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships next week on the season premiere of Monday Night Raw. Post-match, though, we see the real rivalry is between Damage Control and Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. We all know the history between Bianca Belair and Damage Control. They were getting in her face, and man, oh man, Kairi looked like an absolute badass, just smiling as she was busted open, cut open, like on her eyelid. It was on her eye. Like she said on her Instagram story, showing off the stitches. She was like, I need an eye patch. She's a badass. She is a badass. But unfortunately, this was another nothing matchup. Why did they have to do this? Why did they book two women's matches and they're both pretty much like nothing? Because this match went about 8 minutes and it was a 3-minute commercial break in between, so we only saw 5 of it. Rob, what did you think?
You know, it was quick, too quick. I thought. I thought it was just odd, and I know one of the things that a lot of people were talking about last night was the spot where Carrie was bleeding, or was it? Yeah, it was Carrie Sane where she was bleeding, like where she that high spot. I thought that was like, get this, overblown. Overall, I would have preferred Damage Control getting the victory there. But I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, like, really, with this. I think it's a matter of time before Bianca and Jade, one of them turns heel. I mean, I thought it was going to happen sooner than later. I thought it was going to happen not too long ago, but they're waiting. I don't know if they're planning on waiting till Royal Rumble or WrestleMania.
I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think they're going to wait till next year to set up WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think that's the way they're going. So, I just thought it was weird, and part of me is just like, why are we going right back to a rematch? That's one of the things that bothered me too, but it is what it is, and I hate using that term, but I mean, we'll see.
Chase, what did you think about the women's tag team matchup here?
The crickets were for sure chirping during this match. They were enjoying it, especially when Alba Dawn and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I keep mixing their names up. It doesn't matter at this point. They're the same human being at this point. My friend, he always calls Kyrie saying bad luck Kyrie because it seems like something bad happens to her every time there's a tag team match. Because like she goes like ever since that TLC match where Kyrie got like that concussion and stuff, he goes, oh no, bad luck Kyrie's in this match. So he's always afraid of Kyrie saying getting hurt, and it happened here. Shout out to Bianca, the constant pro, making sure Kyrie Sane was safe. Yeah, I don't know what we're doing. I hate these tag team titles. Just make them trios titles. Just do anything but these titles. The entrances for Jade and Bianca were cool. I like seeing them enter the ring. But yeah, it's not the match. It's just there was no fire to it. It was just like they were just going out there. Like Io, you can tell she knows what she's doing in the ring. Like Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, I don't think they're bad. I just think it's just they don't know. Like they keep doing stuff where I don't think they understand. It's like the crowd's not going to react to you guys doing stuff. And just because you guys do double team moves that look intricate, it doesn't make people go, oh, like, you know, like they kind of just going out there just throwing shit on the wall and hopefully the crowd reacts. But it's just like, you know, when you have no character and you have to rely on that doesn't help you. And I think that's more on Triple H, you know, making them not interesting as tag team champions and not giving them interesting characters. Because Alba Fire, she had like some oogly boogly in NXT. Like, wasn't she trying to kill Mandy Rose in a haunted house? Like, I don't know what you could tell me something about Isla Dawn. I'll just believe you. I don't know what she has done. Like, to be honest, like she's a good wrestler, but like as far as character work, I don't know any character work Isla Dawn has ever done in her career, off the top of my head. So, but yeah, it's just more of like Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They're good wrestlers. It's just they can't connect with the crowd for whatever reason, and the crowd has no reason to connect with them. And it's a shame, but it is what it is at this point. But I think they're just going for the rubber match just to get them out of the way. It's just okay. We're done with you guys. Like the Woody from Toy Story meme. We're done playing with you. So find new toys to feed with.
Pretty much. Backstage, we got New Day's Kofi Kingston. He met with Adam Pearce backstage. He noted that the Judgment Day haven't defended the tag team titles in 2 months, so he had a proposition involving him and Xavier Woods. But then Gunther showed up. He gave a look to Kofi Kingston and then walked off. And this led into Gunther in the ring with a promo talking about his big victory at Bash in Berlin and setting an arena gate. He beat the greatest version of Randy Orton, and the Great Weekend was just another chapter in his legacy. But soon thereafter, he was interrupted by the man that beat him for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 40, Sami Zayn, returning to Monday Night Raw to a big reaction. The crowd was singing his song audibly here. Zayn said that the people talk about the IC title as the great workhorse title. And he thought about his legacy with the Intercontinental Championship and all the other men that had great legacies. People often don't talk about is that the true greats, the Randy Savages, the Stone Cold Steve Austins, The Rock, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and his hero, Bret Hart, all won the IC title before winning the world title. That's exactly what Gunther did. And now that's exactly what I'm going to do. Gunther laughed at this and smiled. Zayn wanted the one title that has eluded him his entire career, and he wanted the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther said that Zayn was right. Gunther and all those men stepped up and won the world title. But Zayn stepped down every time he won the Intercontinental Championship. Zayn was not at the top of that list of great men, and that's why the people liked him. When Zayn was knocked down, he picked himself up and returned to the ring. Gunther was impressed that Zayn was challenging him. He saw the fire in his eyes, and he told Zayn that if he really wanted this more than anything else, his answer was simple. No. Gunther then left the ring as his music played, but Zayn cut him off. Zayn wondered why Gunther was finally backing down from a fight and that he's never seen him back down from a fight, but he knew the reason why. Gunther knew full well that in his entire time being in WWE, Zayn was the only person who had beaten him in the middle of this ring. He says that I'm coming for you, and I will be a world heavyweight champion. This was a very good and logical promo exchange. I think that they could have, should have, if this was a plan ahead of time, I probably wouldn't have had Sami Zayn lose in 5 minutes for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. But if this was a plan all along, I'm gonna say it out the way. No, it probably wasn't. But this is a logical person to be the next challenger for Gunther because it's giving Gunther the opportunity to redeem himself against one of the few men that have beaten him in his time in WWE and losing the Intercontinental Championship after such an historic reign. And for Sami Zayn, he can make the people believe in anything. And the people 100% believe he is the only person to have beaten Gunther because his NXT career doesn't matter when he's on the main roster. so I think that Sami Zayn is the perfect babyface to go against Gunther, and it plays off of the rivalry that they had going into WrestleMania 40 and Zayn getting the victory there. So thumbs up for this choice for the next challenger for Gunther. Rob, what did you think about the segment?
Very solid. I really thought they were going to go with Sami Zayn before they went with this Randy Orton thing. That was my prediction, like at the beginning. But I said once they went with Randy, I'm like, well, at least they made it make sense there. Like I really thought that was good. And then they went right into Sami, and I thought, okay, this is good too. And I agree with you on the SummerSlam part. Maybe not losing in 5 minutes would have probably been better, but oh well. So I'm glad they're going to go this route. I assume they're going to meet at Bad Blood, so I think it's going to be a good match, but we know Gunther's going to come out ahead, and what I hope this leads to is Sami getting recruited back to the Bloodline when Roman needs him for Survivor Series is what I'm hoping. That's my hope.
This is a nice stop before we get to that eventual conclusion. Chase, what did you think about Sami and Gunther on the mic?
I love Gunther. I think he's one of the most underrated talkers. He reminds me of those European UFC champions that just piss me off because you can't prove them wrong because they keep winning their fights. So I can't be mad that you keep winning. Like he just like he said no, he don't want to face Sami Zayn, and I'm pissed that he doesn't want to face a top contender, but he has a point. Sami Zayn has done nothing with that IC title. Like he has gone down, and it's just like, damn, I hate when he proves good points. Like Gunther's like, you don't want to get in a debate with Gunther. I think he'll win 10 times out of 10. It's just one of those things. Sami Zayn, you could tell Rey Mysterio finally convinced him, you gotta get these stem cells, brother. They'll change your life. He was walking like he just got those fresh stem cells. He's rare. I thought he was gonna be gone for a long time. I thought for sure Sami Zayn's the perfect December, January opponent for Gunther. We need someone to face Gunther at this pay-per-view or PLE. Who do we have? And it's like, oh, here's Sami Zayn. But perfect timing for Sami Zayn. I feel bad for Jey Uso. He told Jey Uso he's going to be gone for a long time, so couldn't go for the tag titles, YEET, but it is what it is. But I like this. I think Sami and Gunther is going to be a really good World Heavyweight title match, and Gunther getting underneath the skin of his opponents, making sure that they're at the best when he beats them, and that's what I love about Gunther. He says all this shit talk just so that way he can get them at their best. And if this leads to Cena and Gunther, I cannot wait till Gunther obliterates Cena on the microphone. I like calling him a shell of himself. This is not the man that I want to face. You're no longer the 16-time world champion that I admired. You're just a Hollywood actor chasing glory once again. That is pathetic. I cannot wait till Gunther destroys Cena on the mic. It's going to be great.
He's so good. Gunther, the best in WWE right now for me. Jackie Redmond interviews Jey Uso backstage. He was in the midst of cutting his usual YEET promo when Braun Breaker interrupts. Braun reiterated that a member of Jay's family would never beat a member of his. Braun was giving him one opportunity and one opportunity only to walk away and go after Dom's sloppy seconds and get with mommy. He's so distracted with his other things. If Jay went after his title, he would lose. Jay responded and said, "Thanks for the advice, rookie." Jay said that Braun had his attention now, and Jay would win the tournament next week, win the title, and beat Braun's ass in the process. Yeet. I like how they're just making it very obvious that Jey Uso is winning the Fatal 4-Way next week. Like, it's been like that since the beginning. He was the first person to put himself in the tournament. You had Braun cut the promo on him, and then this was just further confirmation. Jay has to win next week.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did too. Sorry, I didn't know who you wanted to go first.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly where they're going. Jay's gonna win, and they went this route for a reason because it's something people will want to see. I just hope he lasts longer than 5 minutes, because otherwise that's going to hurt him in the long run. I mean, Sammy I think's okay, like with what happened, but I think I think Jay needs to last in a match longer than 5 minutes with Braun, because it'll help him. I don't necessarily know if he'll win. In a way, what I kind of hope, again, this is fast forwarding to the Bloodline. I actually kind of hope this happens at the pay-per-view, where maybe one of the new Bloodline members cost him, something like that. That would, I think, move his story quicker to joining Roman, because I think it's a matter of time. Obviously it's a matter of time before they get them all back together, because WWE loves that kind of stuff, getting the band back together. So,
yeah, I can see that for sure. Chase, any thoughts?
Yeah, I hope the Braun and Jay match just happens at a PLE, not on a Raw. Romeo and I talked about this on the watch along. A lot of YEET shirts in the crowd, and yet no main event Jey Uso. Like, these fans want to YEET. They want to do that. Hey, they just want to do it. It's okay. Put them in a match for 6 minutes. No one's gonna bat an eye, because they're gonna just be happy main event Jey Uso was in their city. So yeah, it's gonna be good. I don't know how we will get to Bloodline interfering unless Solo, like Jay bumps into them backstage, and then that leads to Solo saying to who's this? The enforcer. Maybe
Jacob.
Send Tonga Law, to ruin this match. I can see Tonga Law fucking up the IC title win for Jay. That'll be funny, and then they will get my dream match of Jey Uso versus Tonga Law for the advantage at the War Games. That's the match I want. I just want wrestling Twitter to combust.
I don't want to see Tonga Loa in any singles matches. To be fair.
I just want wrestling Twitter to burn in flames as this most important War Games match is decided between main event Jey Uso and Tonga Law, who gets the advantage.
You're next up, just like seeing Twitter burn. So
I love overreaction wrestling Twitter. It's my favorite. Yeah. It's my favorite Twitter. They'll care about it for one day, and then the next day they acted like they didn't waste 40 minutes or an hour of their day complaining about something that didn't even matter. So it's my favorite.
Yep. Yeah,
Agent of Chaos there. Next, we had our second of two triple threat IC title tournament number one contenders matches. Braun Strowman versus Ludwig Kaiser versus Sheamus. Sheamus and Kaiser went at it to start off the matchup. So Strowman ran them over on the outside. He ran after Kaiser, but Kaiser moved and Strowman crashed into the barricade, which led to a commercial break. When we came back, Kaiser ran around the ring to do the drop kick into Sheamus against the steel steps. But Braun pulls out one of his finishing moves, the tossing of the announce chair at Kaiser. He gets into the ring. He hits a choke slam on Sheamus for a 2 count. Sheamus fought back, going after Strowman's injured midsection. He hits the 10 beats of the Bowery, but Kaiser hit him with the Finley roll for a 2. Kaiser went for his insecurity to Sheamus, but Sheamus came right back at him and hit the bro kick. He got the 1-2, but then Pete Dunne, who attacked Trick Williams to end No Mercy the night before, he comes out here and he's attacking Sheamus again with the shillelagh. Strowman gave Kaiser on the inside, hits him in the corner with the ramming in the corner, and then he finishes him off with a power slam for the 1-2-3 in this one. Another quick matchup here. This one went 7.5 minutes with a commercial in between. But Braun Strowman is the fourth and final competitor, joining Jey Uso, Ilya Dragunov, and Pete Dunne in the 4-way finals to these Intercontinental title number one contenders tournament. after the matchup, though, to follow up with this, we did get Jackie Redmond catching up with Pete Dunne. Redmond asked, why did he do that to Sheamus? And Dunn said that she could tell him that it was a message from an old friend. And now he was going off to NXT to smash Trick Williams tomorrow. And Redmond asked, wait, so I'll tell him that it's from Butch? And I was like, yo, P. Dunn, break her fingers. Dunn told her not to call him that. And Redmond was playing dumb or just was dumb. I don't know why she just came at that man like that.
I loved it. She was like, I loved it. I thought it was great because I even laughed. I was like, oh, she went there. Cool. Okay, I like it. And what I think's great about this is we know. Well, I have a feeling tonight we will see Sheamus at NXT costing Pete Dunne, and I think we will see Sheamus cost Pete Dunne next week too.
I can see that. Or I can see they may want to put over Trick Williams strong because I feel like he's going to get the shot at Ethan Page for the CW premiere. But maybe I could definitely see Sheamus getting involved next week in the Fatal 4-Way. I can see Sheamus getting involved and Bronson Reed, if he's healthy, getting involved to screw over Braun Strowman. So it just comes down to Jey Uso and Ilya Dragunov. Chase, any thoughts on the matchup?
Personally, I wanted Kaiser to win just for the Fatal 4-Way to be good. But yeah, sure. We'll give it to Braun Strowman. I mean, I'm sure this was supposed to be for Bronson Reed and everything. So, yeah. That's it. Nothing really too crazy.
And then finally, we had our main event. Before the main event, we saw Jey Uso and Damian Priest meeting backstage, and Priest wanted to talk to him about their past issues, but Jey says that he knows what it's like to be Priest. No friends, lost your family, but Jey says that he still respected Damian Priest even after everything that went down at Backlash this year. Plus, he couldn't say no to Mommy. Priest laughs, and Priest and Jey agreed to give Judgment Day a beating for Rhea, and this led into our main event, Jey Uso and Damian Priest teaming up to verse the World Tag Team Champions Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Believe it or not, we get Jey Uso hitting a crazy dive, but he was getting beat up right after the commercial break. This was like the fourth time on this show that the babyfaces had control before the commercial break, and then we come back to the heels in control. Jey fought back to the sound of Yeet, made the hot tag to Priest, who came in, and he was going to town on both McDonough and Balor. Priest knocked McDonough out of the ring, so Balor hit him with a sling blade, but Priest came back and hit a thrust kick and a big clothesline. Balor countered a chokeslam into a cradle for a 2. We get a cheap shot by McDonough, allowed Judgment Day to take over, but Jey Uso made the hot tag. He hits, Priest hits the double clothesline. Jey Uso hits a double flying crossbody. He super kicks both men and spears McDonough. He goes up to the top rope for the Uso splash, but Liv Morgan suddenly appears and crotches Jey. Balor tags in. He hits the sling blade, the shotgun dropkick, the coup de grace. McDonough tags in, and he hits a beautiful-looking moonsault, but Priest is able to break up the cover. Morgan is on the apron to complain when Rhea Ripley's music hits to another huge pop. Rhea comes down, and she chooses this moment to enter. You have Liv Morgan, who's smirking and making fun of her, doing a fake limp. But Rhea smirks and uses the crutch as a weapon, hitting her in the stomach. She then wildly swings the crutch at Liv Morgan, who is chased out through the crowd. This distraction allows for the babyfaces to take control again. Jey hits a spear on Balor. Priest hits the Razor's Edge on McDonough, and Jey finishes them off with the Uso splash to give the Terra triplets the victory here as Jey Uso and Damian Priest pick up the win and celebrate to close the show. Really good matchup to end the show here. Very enjoyable, but goddamn, Judgment Day just can't catch a break. These dudes are like the putties in fucking Power Rangers. They lose every freaking week. It was like an aberration, like a wild fever dream the 1 week that they stood tall against the Terra Twins, because we are going on a full month of the Terra Twins just washing them, and now the Terra triplets doing it on this show. Rob, what did you think about the main event?
I thought it was solid. I like how they did everything. I liked how I liked how Rhea smiled at Liv and then hit her with the crutch. I really enjoyed the ending. I like how they even let Jay get the pin. Like you could see Damian just kind of say, you know what, go ahead, just do your thing. Because a couple of weeks ago, that Damian Priest wouldn't have done that. So I like how they've changed him too. They let Jay get the win, and yeah, it was all good. I thought the ending was good. Good match. A lot of action in this match. And you're right, JD McDonough, man, he gets his ass kicked, and I got to give him credit for it. He every match, it's like he's the whipping boy, you know, and I got to give him credit, and he does it, and he does a good job too. So I enjoyed the match. I thought it was a good main event. They added suspense because you were hoping that Jay and Damian would win, and they ended up winning. So it was all good, I thought.
Chase, what did you think about the main event here?
First, I gotta say, Jey Uso, the Bloodline did not kick you out. You left the Bloodline, so let's not start lies now. The family did not leave you. You left the family. Jimmy betrayed you for whatever reason we still don't know. But there's Harlem. I was like, we haven't got a Harlem run in yet.
She made a quick little run in here.
Burst in like the Ultimate Warrior. I was like, I was gonna say at the end of this review, no Harlem running. Was she thinking of that? But there she came, right when we needed her the most, like the Avatar. but yeah, no, I really enjoyed the main event. The main event was fun, but yeah, Judgment Day, they're going back to like when they were feuding with Cody and like when they were first forming, just losers. Like, oh man, like can we get them one win? Like this one would have been fine too, because you know Jay and Damian don't really have the chemistry, so it would have been fine for them to lose. But you know Jay, he has that big fatal 4-way, so you don't want him taking a loss before that. Like you want to make sure that, like, I would even take in Braun Breaker, because Braun Breaker has come out before when one of his challengers pissed him off and spear the other person. So I would have taken, because we haven't had our crazy Braun Breaker, let's run around the ring and do something cool spot in a minute. So I would have taken that too, but. Yeah, no, this was a really good main event, though. Definitely one of those, like, hey, let's send the fans home happy type of main events, which I'm fine with. And it was built up from the start of the show to the end of the show, you know, so leading up to the big season premiere of Monday Night Raw next week. So, but yeah, I just want Judgment Day to at least get something back, get some heat back into this, because, like, right now they're just looking like whipping boys to the Terror Twins, and like you said, the Terror triplets, and so I don't like that.
This is the second time they lost the non-title matchup, McDonough and Balor. So it's just confusing. It's just a little confusing to me. But good show overall. So let us know in the live chat, what did you think? What was your match of the night? Your MVP, your LVP out of 10? What did you give the show? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. For me, Rob, and Chase, for the September 3rd, September 2nd, 2024 edition of Monday Night Raw in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board from all of us. For me, out of 10, I'm going to give this show a solid 7 out of 10. It was a very solid show. A lot of good stuff on this show. A lot of stuff I wasn't feeling too much. I did like the main event, but I'm just like, when is Judgment Day going to catch a break? But the really strong stuff was the Sammy and Gunther promo, as well as the Drew McIntyre attack on CM Punk. So that's why it gets a thumbs up for me. Rob, out of 10, what did you give the show?
I give it an 8 out of 10, but 9 out of 10 in the Tokyo Dome. So that's my go-to. Every time I always had the Tokyo Dome.
Chase, what about you?
Yeah, 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was a good show overall. Maybe if some of the matches were longer, I would have given it an 8. But yeah, no, it was what I want out of after a PLE show. You know, continue some feuds, wrap up some feuds. Just make me entertained for 3 hours. That's really hard to do. Like even with football, I get bored of watching that for 3 hours. So you know, if Raw can keep me entertained, now next week that's going to be the rough one, because a lot of times, even if the game is boring, I'm watching Monday Night Football. I want to see now that Triple H is in charge. How can he keep my interest of looking at my computer screen where I mostly have Raw when football's on? Like, how can I keep watching that while not watching a team blow out another team or something? So,
I feel you. It's going to be a tough one for them, ratings wise and interest wise. So we'll see. But they stacked it with the lineup already, announcing it ahead of time. But who was your match of the night, Rob?
Oh, match of the night. That's a tough one. I would say, man, that is a tough one. I'll just go with the main event. I think I enjoyed that a lot. So that's the one I'm gonna go with. So the main event was my match of the night.
Chase?
Dragunov versus Dragon Lee featuring Dominic Mysterio. That was my match of the night.
I'm going to go with Dragunov versus Dragon Lee versus Dominic Mysterio as well. MVP for the show, I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre. Chase?
Yeah, Drew's my MVP. Great attack.
Rob?
I'm actually gonna go with my MVP being none other than Mr. Jey Uso. I thought they did really well with him. So I'm going with that.
That's a good shout.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was all over the show. All over. My LVP for the show, this is probably why I didn't give it to Jey Uso for MVP, because I like to spread out the awards, because my LVP is the opposite side of Jey Uso. The Judgment Day, because they can't buy a win. Rob?
Drew McIntyre's balls.
That should be the MVP.
Yeah, no, not in my world. No thanks. With those beads getting broken, I'd say that's the LVP. Those beads, they mean a lot to some people. So the beads is the LVP. So,
or CM Punk's mouth, where the beads around reside. Chase, LVP?
CM Punk. He has to take Drew's nuts in his mouth. Gets beaten up by Drew 2 times, 3 times over. Yeah, he's definitely the LVP. And then Kairi Sane gets a little bit of an honorable mention just because she had to cut her eye. She had to get stitches. That's not fun. So I'll give her that just because she almost, bad luck Kairi strikes again. And, my friend says they need to stop putting her in these tag matches. She's just going to get injured or harm herself. My friend's a huge Kairi Sane fan. So he loves when she's individually doing stuff. She says that in these tag team matches, she always gets hurt. So she is concerned for Kairi Sane's well-being.
See, that's a very, very, very understanding fan right there.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the end of another Rated Raw review. I want to thank you all for joining us live. Thank you if you're watching us on demand. But a huge thanks to both Chase and Rob for filling in for Romeo this week. Appreciate you guys. Let's start off with Rob here. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media, when they'll see you again on their YouTube screens.
Yeah, you can catch me every Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern for Coexisting with Rob and Maggie over on Fightful Overbooked. I will also be hosting the All Out preview show on Fightful Select on Sunday. I think we're going to do that, Saturday. Keep struggling with that. I think we're going to do that about 4 o'clock Eastern. I'm not entirely sure yet, but you can follow me at Rob Wilkins on X. I'm also at Fightful Rob on Instagram and Threads. But yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming through, Rob. Always appreciate talking some graps with you. Chase, you're becoming a usual here this week, so give you the second billing. Let everybody know where they can follow you.
Yeah, you guys might see me next week after Romeo is sad when his Jets lose to the 49ers on Monday Night Football. So maybe I'll see you guys next week. Follow me on X at ChaseOliver68. And then also Around the Point, Steve's Kitchen. We're going to talk Bash in Berlin and other news that came out in wrestling. I don't know what Steve has time for it. He never tells me. He tells me like 2 minutes before the show. All right, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm like, great, Steve. I plan stuff at 3:30, but sure, I'll come on the show for you.
Lovely stuff there.
Romeo, you heard it, and it's going to be true. It's all right, Romeo. I understand you're going to be sad. Maybe Aaron Rodgers tears another Achilles. Who knows? Like, takes a drop back. Who knows what happens? I just hope Breece Hall gets 2 touchdowns. He's on my fantasy team.
Hey, stop running from the grind, Romeo. This was your last week to show up before football season happens, and you wouldn't have Chase talking trash on your show. But follow me on the Twitter machine at True Hill SP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at True Hill Heat. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The best place to support us when we are not live here. But I will be back tomorrow at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time with our NJPW Capital Collision review, reviewing last weekend's show from Washington, D.C., where Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe. I'll be alongside Jay News, so join us for that live tomorrow. But until then, for Chase, for Rob, big thanks to them. Big thanks to all of you watching. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This has been Rated Raw Review number 33 for the September 2nd, 2024 edition of WWE Raw. We are signing off until next time.